Hunger is the true enemy.
Hey, this is great. I bet anyone would love this stuff.
This is delicious. Why are you looking at me like that, Felix? I won't share my portion with you if that's what you're wondering.
I don't want your scraps, old man. I swear sometimes.
Come back whenever you're hungry.
Care to make yourself useful?
I've got nothing to worry about with the two of you on the job.
Stuck with you again? Fine, let's get this over with.
Indeed. We should finish this quickly for both of our sakes.
We all must do our fair share.
Hey, did you hear? We rounded up the last stragglers from House Climate.
Yeah, and brought destruction raining down on one of their villages in the process. Of course, it was partially their fault for mustering an army, but I can't believe His Majesty would allow such meaningless slaughter.
Something on your mind? If you object to their idle gossip, it would behoove you to speak up.
No, it's just... I don't really know what Dmitri was thinking either. It's almost like he's built a wall around himself, ever since the day he killed his uncle.
My apologies, but could I ask you to join Gustav in keeping an eye on things here for the next few days?
Sure. You going somewhere? Kinda surprised Dedu and Rodrigue aren't joining you.
The two of them recently departed for Dusker. They have their own duties to attend to.
Then why don't I join you? I've got more free time these days than I know what to do with.
Offering to work during your well-deserved time off is not as praiseworthy as you believe it to be.
You're one to talk.
I suppose you have a point. Very well. I'll take you up on your offer. The journey will not be a pleasant one, but your assistance will surely prove valuable.
I was wondering where we were going. This is the village that was wiped out during our recent battle. Hold on. You're not planning to bury the dead by yourself, are you? It's not really a job for a king.
Perhaps not. Yet a resting place is all I am capable of offering them now. Were it possible, I would not have let this village lose a single brave soul. I never intended to see them incinerated by the all-consuming flames of this war. as the one who authorized our battle strategy. I alone am culpable for their deaths.
It's not like you made the decision lightly, though. You discussed it for hours with Rodrigue and the others.
Even so, no means can possibly excuse these ends. No amount of justification will bring back the lives that were lost here.
True. And no matter how hard you fight for a better outcome, there's no guarantee you'll actually achieve it.
No, I cannot shut my eyes to the cruelty my actions have wrought. Yet, if I do not claim this battle, and its aftermath, to be just and proper, my soldiers will lose faith in me. How long must this horrible cycle continue?
Don't be like that, Dimitri. I'm sure people will understand if you just tell them the whole story.
There's no need for that. This burden is mine to bear, and mine alone.
Hey, Dedu, what are you doing here? You need something?
No, but I must ask, what are you doing here?
Just, you know, making sure all the equipment's in good shape. With how rough yesterday's battle was, I figured it couldn't hurt to round up all the weapons that got broken and try my hand at fixing them.
I see.
Sorry, should I not have taken them out at night or something? You're giving me this look like you don't trust me.
You have His Majesty's trust. I will not lay a hand on you. But I would like to better understand who you are.
Makes sense to me. I'm still just a newcomer and my background's unclear at best.
My apologies.
Nah, it's fine. I'd be suspicious of me too if I were you. Besides, I don't exactly want to go losing my employer either, so feel free to keep as many eyes out as you think necessary. Dimitri clearly needs all the help he can get. I mean, he made me a commanding officer without so much as a second thought to my past or my intentions.
Yet that conviction makes people follow him. And I agree with his decision. Having you close by is convenient.
What, so you can keep a better eye on me? It doesn't really matter. As long as he's paying me, I'll do whatever I've got to do to win for him. Oh, and if I do anything suspicious, you're more than welcome to cut me down right then and there.
A very mercenary response.
Well, yeah, that's what I am. I might have risen the ranks, and I might have my own unit now, but I'm still a merc at heart. As long as I get the results, everything else, like trust and respect, will follow. At least, that's what my old Captain Burling taught me. So, I guess I don't have much choice but to just keep at it till I earn your trust.
I see. Now, these weapon repairs will take time. Allow me to aid you.
You sure you don't mean keep an eye on me? Glad to have your help, though, Dedu.
My apologies, Felix. Am I getting in the way of your work?
No, I just finished up. What do you need?
I picked this up on the training grounds. I think it might be yours.
Hey, that's my brother's spur. I thought I'd lost it.
I ran around asking all the knights who it belonged to. The royal crest made it seem important. You really should take better care of it. Didn't Glenn receive this as a gift from the late king?
Yup.
Don't shrug me off like that. I am surprised. You never struck me as the type to keep such a memento with you.
Guess I thought it might come in handy someday.
Whatever you say.
Just make sure you don't misplace it again.
Ingrid. Wait,
Yes?
you should have it.
Excuse me? Absolutely not. I could never accept something so precious.
When my brother was appointed by the king, who do you think he told first? It wasn't me or my father. It was you. So take it.
But
If you want the truth, I always planned to give it to you anyway. I just never found the right time.
well, if you insist, then I accept. Thank you, Felix.
But don't get the wrong idea. I'm not doing this so you can go drown yourself in grief.
Oh, I am very much aware. I know full well how much you detest such displays of sentimentality. I should get going. I have a meeting to attend. Farewell, Felix.
Oh, it's you. What are you doing?
Hey, Ash. Not much, just perusing this tactics book. Have you read it before?
I sure have. It was popular in Leicester a few years back, if I remember right. I picked it up myself back at the monastery, but it was so dense it took me ages to finish.
It's a pretty tough one, I'll give you that. But there's some great stuff in here too, if you can get past the writing.
Hold on. You were born in a remote mountain village in Ordelia territory, right?
Yeah. What's your point?
I guess I'm just impressed you can handle such an obtuse book, given your upbringing. I mean, nobles and the children of rich families are taught to read by default, but most commoners never get the opportunity. Honestly, I've been wondering who taught you ever since our time at the academy. I hope I didn't offend you. I'm just curious.
Nah, it's fine. I learned from my mom. Adoptive mom, that is. Looking back on it now, it is kinda weird that someone as smart as her was off living in the middle of nowhere like that.
I'm sure she must have had a reason for being there.
Hard to say. She never liked talking about her past, so I don't know much beyond what I saw for myself.
At the very least, it's obvious she was well educated. That's clear just from looking at you. Not only can you read and write, but you know arithmetic and how to navigate with a map, too. In that sense, you're not so different from the average noble or knight raised in the lap of luxury.
Really? I don't think it's that big a deal, personally.
Oh, but it is. Not many commoners are literate and educated like you are. They don't need any of that stuff to make a living, so it's not really viewed as a necessary skill. You know, I didn't know how to read myself until I met Lenato.
Huh. And now that you mention it, I never really saw the other mercs in my company with a book in their hands. Except for the captain, of course. Makes me wonder where my mom learned all that. But it's not like I can ask her now. She's gone.
Oh.
know, Felix, I've been thinking. Actually, never mind.
What? You can't say that and then not tell me. Come on, out with it.
Okay, it's just, even though you never show it, I can tell you really care about Dimitri and the others. You alright there, Felix? There's no reason to get all choked up over it.
It's your fault for saying something so ridiculous.
Hey, you're the one who asked. But it's true, isn't it? I know I'm right.
And what proof do you have?
Well, for one, you move way better when you're fighting alongside them.
That's only because I've known them so long now I can predict their every move. Boar always rushes straight into enemy lines, so I have to be ready to cover him. Of course, few can survive one of his mad dashes. But I can't just leave him alone. The man doesn't give his own safety a second thought. We don't coordinate, though. I just stick around to make sure the coast is clear for him to run wild.
Huh. But when you're fighting with Ingrid, you're usually the one who ends up charging forward.
Yes, because her Pegasus is an easy target for enemy archers. It's better for me to dash ahead first and eliminate any potential threats. Not that she's incapable of dodging an arrow or two. But she loses sight of her surroundings in the heat of battle. If she advanced before I did, a cloud of arrows would be the end of her.
Uh-huh. So then why do you always get surrounded when you're fighting with Sylvain?
Because the braggart always insists on showing off. Though if nothing else, he does have the skill to fight his way out of any bind.
It sounds like that's not part of your strategy then. But you'd still never pull it off if you didn't trust each other.
It's all natural for a soldier.
Honestly, it's impressive how well you work with everyone. I should take a page or two out of your book and learn more about the people I fight with. Maybe having a better grasp on their personalities would help me coordinate our movements better.
Who knows? You're welcome to try, at least. If you've already got a good read on me, the others shouldn't be an issue. Anyway, we're done here. Talking to you is exhausting.
Hey, just the guy I wanted to see. I've got a bit of a favor to ask. You know that special sword you fight with? Well, I was wondering if you'd let me take a peek at it.
Sure, if you want. Can't say I expected this kind of interest coming from you, though. It'd be one thing if it were Dimitri or Felix asking. You know how they get about weapons. But you?
You do remember I'm the heir to House Gautier, don't you? I've been studying the art of combat ever since I was just a kid.
Well, you always skip out on training, so... Anyway, here. This work?
It sure does. What a weird sword. You know what it's made of? It doesn't look like iron or steel to me.
I couldn't tell you. Honestly, I have no idea.
What about how you can make it appear right out of thin air? Is that some sort of magic?
Nah, not exactly. It kinda just comes to me when I call it.
Well, that's vague. One more question then. Would I be able to use your sword if I wanted to?
Doubt it. The thing vanishes the second I let go of it. But, hey, why do you want to know so much about it anyway?
I guess I was just thinking how nice it'd be if there were more weapons like yours out in the world. You know, a hero's relic can take down hundreds or even thousands of soldiers in a single swing. Depending on who's doing the swinging, of course. But as soon as the wielder dies, that's it. If you don't have a crest, it's nothing more than a fancy-looking hunk of whatever they're made of. Of course, that wouldn't be an issue if everyone could just use a sword like yours.
Maybe so, but that doesn't make it possible. I mean, there's still so much even I don't know about it.
Right. It's not like you can just make a second one or something.
That's actually a pretty interesting idea. You've given this a lot of thought, haven't you?
Hey, you're talking to the future Margrave Gautier here, remember? Of course I'd think about this kind of stuff. After all, us nobles wouldn't have nearly as much work to do if everyone could fight with the relics. And then I could spend all my time goofing off, just like I did back at the academy.
Yeah, in your dreams. Don't make me tell Ingrid about this.
Whoa now, you don't need to do that. Have a heart. Come on, let's see that sword of yours a little more.
Another beautiful day. Perfect weather to get a bit of training in.
There you are. I've been looking all over for you.
Hey, Annette. Not used to seeing anyone else up and about this early. What's up?
Oh, this is awful. Just the worst.
This doesn't have anything to do with me, does it?
It absolutely does. You sang my song in front of the other mercenaries.
Your song? Oh, you mean the one about the horse that had a human face?
No! I mean, yes, but that's not what it's about at all.
Really? I could have sworn the lyrics said something about the guy's body being 80% horse. I liked it so much I couldn't stop humming it to myself, and then I had to teach it to the other mercs when they overheard me.
Which explains why I heard it in all corners of the camp. It really caught me off guard. I haven't sung it for anyone else yet, only you.
Sorry, should I have kept it to myself? I thought it was a great little tune, honest.
I'm glad you liked it that much, but I hadn't even finished writing the lyrics yet. I don't mind my songs getting around once I'm happy with how they turned out. But it's super embarrassing when people hear one before I've finished writing it.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. It's no fun when people see or hear something when you're not ready to show it off. I mean, I'm the same way. I can't stand it when other people watch me practice my sword work. Though, I can't really avoid it if I want to get any real training in.
Exactly. But my song's out in the wild now, and there's no putting that cat back in the box. I guess I'll just have to wait till everyone forgets it.
Hey, I'm really sorry about all this. I could tell everyone to pretend like they never heard it, if you think that would help.
No, absolutely not. That'll just make them all suspicious.
In that case, why don't you just finish the song? Then you can sing the final version for everyone, and they'll forget about the old one in no time. You might not be happy with it right now, but it's clearly catchy if all those people are loving it.
You have a point there. I guess I just need to finish up the lyrics then.
That's the spirit, though I do really like the whole 80% horse part. Huh, so House Yvonne is actually just a branch of House Blathid?
Yes, though really if you trace any noble bloodline back far enough, you will find most of them are related in one way or another. For example, Duke Yvonne possesses the crest of Karen, while her grandfather possessed the minor crest of Fraldarius. Yet another of her ancestors bore the crest of Blathid, which is passed down through the royal bloodline.
So, you just gotta have a crest to inherit the family title, huh? Doesn't matter which one it is?
In general, yes. The nobility used to be more particular about their requirements, but that is in the past now. Since the houses all keep intermingling, none of them really have a pure bloodline anymore. Meaning they don't get to be picky about which crests they get. Though in truth, the main reason why crests are so valued is because they allow their bearers to wield the hero's relics, passed down through generations. In other words, one who possesses a crest compatible with the family's relic is much more likely to inherit the family title.
Huh. Speaking of, you're the heir to House Galatea, but your crest comes from another family, right?
Yes, but my house is a little different from the others. We originally split off from House Daphne in Leicester, you see. And at times in our history, crest bearers have been passed over entirely for the inheritance.
Can't you just pick a rule and stick to it? Why do you nobles always have to make stuff so complicated?
Complicated or not, this is important knowledge if you are going to keep serving His Majesty. If you stay ignorant, the soldiers you command will lose respect for you, and His Majesty's reputation will be irreparably damaged.
Sorry, you're right. I shouldn't be complaining after I asked you to teach me. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, right. You're the legitimate heir, and you have a crest, which means you're gonna inherit the family title someday. But what about all that talk of becoming a knight? Can you even do that if you're leading your house?
No. I have dreamt of obtaining knighthood and defending the king ever since I was a little girl. But I'm afraid it's not meant to be.
And none of your siblings have crests, do they? Isn't there anyone who can take the title for you?
My eldest brother says he is willing to do so if necessary. After all, the decision comes down to what the family and the heir want. Usually, leadership passes to a child with a crest. There have been exceptions, as I mentioned before. Even so, it is the duty of every kingdom noble to take up their relic in defense of their people. Not to mention, my father is not the only one who wants to see me in charge of the house. The citizens of Galatea are hoping for the same.
Huh. I'm not sure I really get all the politics behind it, since I wasn't born in the kingdom. But wouldn't you still be able to protect the king, even if you ended up a count?
I am not sure I follow.
Sorry, I can explain some other time. There's a story about a mercenary I'd love to tell you.
Well, if it isn't our mercenary friend, I trust you've adjusted to life in the kingdom by now.
Yeah, more or less. I've been here a few times before on the job, so it's not too big a shock. But I've never lived as far north as Ferdiad. There's still a bunch I need to get used to. Stuff like the wind blowing straight through you, or how it's always so stupidly cold, even inside, or how you can't go out after a blizzard. It snowed so much one night that I couldn't even open the door in the morning. Thought I was off to meet the goddess that day.
An amusing enough story when you tell it like that. But Fargus winters are no joke. They're harsh, unforgiving beasts. Tell me, have you grown to despise the cold?
Nah, it's not so bad. I mean, sure, all the snow is really annoying. But it's also beautiful. You can't see lamplit streets covered in the stuff anywhere but here.
I thought the same when I was young. Though the more years I gain, the more frustrating it becomes. Nevertheless, this brutal tundra is the only home we have. Meaning there's nothing to do but adapt, persevere, and enjoy the lives we've built here.
Adapt? Like how the messengers ride Pegasi instead of horses during the winter.
Exactly. The sight of those majestic creatures soaring through the frost-ridden sky is one unique to Fargus. No matter how much snow blankets the ground, our Pegasi quite literally rise to the occasion. When my son and His Majesty were still just boys, they followed one off into the frigid mountains of all places. By the time I found them, they were but two shivering masses on the ground. For a moment, I thought my heart would never beat again.
So, Felix has been getting into trouble ever since he was a kid, huh?
His penchant for danger is unchanged, yes. Though I fear his disposition has grown far sharper. The hardships of becoming Duke at his age are undoubtedly weighing upon his mind.
I don't know. I don't think you need to worry about him. He can take care of himself just fine.
A fair point. Perhaps it's time I let him spread his wings like the Pegasus he chased all those years ago. It seems the coming winter will bring more than just cold to Fargus. The ravages of war approach on the same wind. Training in such conditions will be a struggle indeed, but we cannot afford to ignore the looming Srang threat either. Managing our territories through it all will not be an easy task. But I have faith we will adapt, persevere, and overcome, just as we always have.
Next winter, huh? We'll just have to do whatever it takes to make sure the war's over by then.
Which battlefield are you headed to? Make sure you're ready.
Allow me to assist with any matters regarding the facilities. Let me know if I may be of further service.
Time to work you into shape.
We did great! I'll be able to help even more now.
Training can be the Can't wait to see how you do.
Care to make yourself useful?
Counting on you both.
Come on, we'll do it together.
If I can be of any assistance, please let me know. We all must do our fair share. This lovely weather gives cause for my feet to wander of their own accord. Hmm? Oh, I think I spy a familiar face! Good day, Ash.
Morning, Flane. Out for a stroll?
Yes. And you are... fishing?
Yep. The army's a bit short on provisions, so I was thinking I could help add to the pile.
What a simply splendid idea. Can I take a look at your catch?
Oh, help yourself. I've been out here since before dawn, so there's quite a few fish already.
Goodness, you're right. You must be a talented angler indeed.
Oh, thanks, Flane. And yeah, not to brag or anything, but I'm pretty confident in my abilities with the old fishing pole. My brother used to take me fishing in a nearby river when I was little.
So he taught you all you know? I must admit I'm ever so jealous. I used to go fishing with my mother long ago, but I haven't done it in years at this point. And if I even think about getting close to a river now, my brother swoops down to give me an earful.
I'm sure he's just concerned. I'd be scared to let my younger siblings fish all by themselves, too. Do you want to give it a go now?
Really?
Why not? I mean, I'll be right here to make sure you don't fall in or anything.
Thank you very much, Ash. I'm going to catch a big one. Oh! I hooked one!
Look at that line bend! It must be huge!
Curses! It escaped.
I caught a glimpse of its shadow when you tried to reel it in. That thing was a monster.
I'm surprised to learn this river is home to a fish as large as that.
Same. I've been coming here for a long time and never once seen one that big.
It is decided then. The next time I find that fish, I will capture it. Will you join me again when that time comes? My brother will be more amenable if you agree to be there watching over me.
Seteth amenable? Yeah, that'll be the day. But sure, I'd be glad to tag along.
Ah, you're back. I heard you went to Fraldaria's territory?
Yes, I had a bit of business to take care of there. I forgot how long it had been.
What was it like to return?
It was always like a second home to me in a way, so being there brought memories flooding back. I found myself taking little detours everywhere, even though I knew I did not have time for such trifles.
And what impression did it give in its current state?
The region itself is quiet and peaceful, but lack of food has left the surrounding towns and villages in a precarious situation. It reminds me of when the people of Galatea territory fought over provisions during famine. If things keep on as they are, there could easily be an uprising.
Perhaps we should ask the refugees to cultivate the land. Ah, but that isn't my decision to make. Thank you, Ingrid. I will let Felix know your thoughts on the matter.
I would appreciate that. Oh, and it's not as if everything has changed for the worse. There were new shops around, and all of the roads were well maintained. It's surprising to see how much has changed over the years.
That's right. You used to visit multiple times a year, when Glenn was still alive.
I did. Yes. Though I might never have visited again if I had not been presented with this opportunity. I am glad I decided to take it. Once this war is over, Would you mind if I came to visit Fraldarius land as I once did?
Not in the slightest. You can visit anytime you like. I'm sure that Felix and the rest of my family would welcome you with open arms. We certainly owe you that much, considering all you've put up with from my sons.
Not at all. If anything, they put up with me. My brothers are both so much older than me, so Glenn and Felix were among my few friends growing up. Thinking back on it, I feel like I was always ordering Glenn around.
Well, if the time you two spent together helped you in even the smallest way, I am satisfied. And I know Glenn would be overjoyed.
Those days are irreplaceable to me. They will live in my heart forever.
Spoken like a true daughter of Count Galatea. You've grown strong, Ingrid.
Thank you for saying so. Still, I want to keep moving forward as best I can.
Yet it's good to acknowledge one's limits. People are allowed to show weakness, you know. Oh, look at me, talking your ear off, while you're still covered with dust from the road. My apologies.
No, I am grateful for the concern. Thank you.
There's no need for thanks. After all, you're like a daughter to me.
Which battlefield are you headed to?
After the last 2 years with Dimitri, I thought we'd seen every battlefield there is to see in Fargus. But Magdrid Way, huh? This one's new.
A little foggy, don't you think? I might even hazard to call it a lot foggy. You've never fought in conditions like these, so you do well to keep what wits you have about you. If you're not careful in this fog, you could find yourself walking straight off a cliff. Horrible way to go, if you ask me.
Come on, you're not my mom. I can handle myself.
Wow, look who woke up on the confidence side of the bed. If that's how you feel, maybe you don't even need my help anymore.
Oh, come on, it was a joke. Don't be so sensitive. You know I appreciate you.
Fine. But in case you forgot, if you die, I go with you. Our fates are intertwined. So no doing anything too reckless out there. You understand? Now come on, let's go.
There's no telling where our enemies might be lurking in this fog. Be at the ready for potential ambushes.
You got my back? You lack the luxury of waiting for it to clear. Renato must be found and put to the sword as soon as possible with you. We will begin by advancing our front line. All forces, prepare to march.
Allow me. I
No
appreciate
backing
your
down.
help.
Not even against the king himself. We fight for Lord Renato.
I can barely see my hand in front of my face. Hey, didn't we bring torches? I can see way better now. This will make moving around a lot easier too. I've got this.
It's not personal.
Not a problem. I've got this.
I'll give it 1,000%. Leave everything to me. Are you ready? We need to move fast. Attack!
Go! Now!
I'm coming too. This is it.
This isn't a battle. It's a bloodbath. We were set out here like lambs to the slaughter.
This is almost too easy. Press our advantage.
Everyone, fall back! We need to regroup!
All is proceeding apace, but don't let up. And keep an eye out for ambushes. I shall take the lead. Those mercenaries must be reinforcements from the Empire. Everyone, gird yourselves.
Didn't think I'd get another shot at the action demon this soon. Really more capable than I expected.
They're holding back. So much for gauging their strength.
Looks like I'm late. Guess I'll get working on my orders.
Is that Nicholas from House Gautier? What's he doing here?
So, my brother's joining us. Looks like His Majesty really pulled out all the stops.
I'll stop the enemy dead in their tracks. You lot use your brains and figure out how we win this thing.
Someone must be giving these mercenaries their orders. We're going to find them. Miklon can handle things on his own here.
I didn't expect they'd have reinforcements, but it doesn't change much. We know what we have to do. Now all...
I'll give it 1,000%. give it 1000%. Time to push on, shall we? Let's give it a shot.
Not a problem. I've got this.
Let's Leftist to do it.
Are you seriously going to sit back and let someone else handle the Ashen Demon for you?
I'll prove my worth.
This stronghold...
This strength will ensure nobody dies a needless death.
will fall. Take a breather. Not a problem. I've got this.
Leave everything. It's a net time.
This stronghold will fall.
I'm with you.
I may be new to Gerald's band, but my only hope is that I don't get you all killed. That funeral would truly be a grave affair. Come then, let us fight with honor.
Let's team up. To victory. Not gonna hold back! This is it!
I won't be the one to drag my new comrades down! I can stand this no longer. I'm falling back.
We should reach their commander if we can get past Alois.
It was only a matter of time till they found us. Let's give them a nice, warm welcome.
They're tough. These are no ordinary mercs.
I'm with you! Give me a hand! To victory! Not gonna hold back! This is it! Shall we? Let's give it a shot.
We will proceed as planned.
No backing down!
That's all I've got, Your Majesty. You hear me? We're out of
Let's start the attack. I can go. I won't back down.
Let us crush their defenses.
Come on! Years are starting to catch up to me.
Please retreat.
What?
Let me at him.
Await this moment. Let's go, dude. With me now. It's my pleasure. Stand down!
This job's not worth dying over. Fall back!
Fine then. We retreat.
So the mercenaries have fled. Very well. On to the next. Send in the auxiliary units.
Glad those mercs are gone, but this fog is still as thick as ever.
It's likely that sorcery is to blame for the predicament we find ourselves in.
I'll give it 1,000%. Leave everything to me. Shall we? Let's give it a shot.
Not a problem. I've got this.
Then we'll just have to cut those mages down. If they're the ones invoking this fog, defeating them should dispel it.
I'll back you up.
A large step forward.
Side. It's not over. They found us! To arms!
Your trickery ends here.
With
me now.
It's not over. It's my pleasure. Stand down! This strength will ensure nobody dies a needless death.
No. The rest falls to you, Lord Lenato.
Turn.
The fog is lifting! We did it!
The time for subterfuge has passed. We shall meet now in honest combat.
Yeah, right! And victory will be ours, Lenato. Come, everyone! We will overwhelm our foes! We will proceed as planned. We move, now. We will proceed as planned. We move, now.
I'll give it 1,000%. Leave everything to me. Shall we? Let's... He's done so much to ingratiate himself with the Empire. We can't exactly leave our new friend to die, can we?
No, not now! Lenato is but one step away!
If we can just try to reason with Dorothea, then, we might be able to settle things peacefully.
The might of the Dress Team is on our side. Yes, with our combined forces.
We will proceed as planned. We must...
No! We need to stop them before they call for backup.
Sand. No, I can keep fighting.
Dorothea, please! I don't want to see you die for nothing.
I can't say I want that either. All right, you win.
If His Majesty means to shelter those vile church rats, then I shall rebuke him to my final breath. Fling open the gates. I have burned far too many bridges to turn back now.
Let's link up! Come, with me!
We'll do it together! I've got you now!
Lenato, it's time to settle this.
It's a net time. This'll do the trick.
shall we? Let's...
I won't let you!
Let's start the attack!
I will see Kristoff avenged, even at the cost of my own life. I'll not fall. Found it.
Moment too soon.
Forgive your fool of a father, Kristoff, for he is soon to join you.
The battle is over. A fine effort, everyone. Especially considering the conditions.
Guess we did our job, at least.
Well, well, doesn't someone sound disappointed? And what's with that look?
I don't know. We completed our mission and all, but it still feels like we lost somehow. Sure, we stopped Lonato, and we put Geralt and his mercenaries to rout. But not before they dragged us through one of the toughest fights we've experienced. And most of all, I failed to take down the Ashen Demon. If that's not a loss, I don't know what is.
Wrong. You were hired to do a job, and you did it. And in the process, you've received a valuable reminder about the unique danger the Ashen Demon poses.
You're right. I can't believe one fighter could turn the tide of an entire battle like that.
Precisely. They're surely going to continue standing in our way, so do try to dig a little deeper the next time you square off.
Yeah, you're probably right. Thanks for the chat.
By the by, have you seen our valiant leader? I wonder where he's scampered off to.
No Felix or the others in sight either. Maybe they're having a meeting or something.
Sounds like you should try to track them down then. Though, on second thought, it may not be any of your business.
I probably shouldn't be sticking my nose into their private matters, but I am pretty curious. Let's go.
There is little time for idling.
I cannot grow complacent.
I need to train harder.
I'm glad to be of use. I'll hesitate no longer.
I've grasped new strength.
You did well, Miklana. I will remember the deeds you've performed here today.
You know as well as I that I only did it for the money. Your money.
That's the man from before.
I don't mean to question you, but why exactly are you eavesdropping on them?
It looks like they're having an argument. Butting in now would just make things worse.
What are you playing at, Boar? This washed-up bandit doesn't deserve to look at our army, let alone be a commander in it.
It's a decision I made in collaboration with the Margrave. 2 years ago, after I ascended the throne, I ordered Gustav to capture him, made him swear his allegiance to the royal family, and gave him a unit of soldiers to command.
Spare me the details of how you did it. What I want to know is why.
My army was lacking leaders. We needed capable fighters to fill in the gaps. As for Miklon here, the Margrave himself has instructed him in all manner of military tactics. I've seen his prowess with my own 2 eyes. In the centuries since the time of King Lugh, crests and relics have kept Fargus safe. We've come to depend on that power to protect us from outside attacks, and grown all too complacent in its wake. Naturally, we will take full advantage of our heroes' relics in the battles ahead with Adrestia. But we cannot protect our home with relics alone. If all who could wield them fell, so too would we. The blood of the heroes is thinner now than ever before. We need men like him among our ranks.
I don't doubt the truth of your words, but that's not the issue here. Do you really think it appropriate to trust a man barely removed from his life as a brigand with the responsibility of command?
Everyone's heard the stories of the elder Gautier brother, how he resorted to banditry and plunder. Do you not think our soldiers would object to being led by a man with such history?
Command, huh? It's got a nice ring to it. But you should know, I'm just a prisoner. My attendants, my aides, my best men, all stooges for the royal family, breathing down my neck every waking moment. All the sleeping moments, too.
No wise remarks, Sylvain? You're standing there mute, as if this has nothing to do with you.
I was one of the first His Majesty consulted with. There's nothing I could say that I haven't already. I'm sure you can't stand the sight of me, Miklon. But let's see if we can't get along, okay?
Huh. Anyway, now that we're all caught up, I'll await your next orders, Your Majesty, sir.
Let me guess. Any means necessary?
I won't defend it, though I do see use in such a man. What he did in his time as a bandit was monstrous, I admit that. And I deserve no small amount of judgment for giving him command in spite of it. But I can't help but wonder. Perhaps his life could have been dramatically different had he only possessed a crest. Same as the uncle I murdered.
I understand your reasoning, Your Majesty. Yet he's hurt so many people.
What's done is done. Stolen goods may be returned, but stolen lives cannot. If the man is unwilling to atone for his wrongdoings, then he will pay for it with his head. If he does wish to repent, however, then what better way to do so than by risking his life on behalf of our people? If any among us still can't forgive him, by all means, take up your arms and enact vengeance.
I get what you're trying to do, but you still should have talked to us first. This isn't about who shoulders what blame. It's a matter of letting us know what you're thinking.
You're right, Felix. My apologies. Now then, we march on Aryan Road as planned. With House Rowe's military might crippled, seizing the fortress should be a somewhat simpler matter.
The Silver Maiden. Can we really take it?
You saw how many troops they've already lost. Just plain math will tell you there can't be that many of them left back at the fortress. At least I sure hope not.
And I am sure Houses Karen and Geraint would be willing to lend us a few squadrons in return for the aid we provided them.
Agreed. And their militaries are both formidable indeed. I'll have to factor their support into our strategies moving forward. And what of you, Ash? Will you be joining the fight at Aryan Road?
Yes, I will. Though I do appreciate the concern, Your Majesty.
As long as you're sure you can handle it. Do not hesitate to retreat if it becomes too much for you. House Rose forces aside, we now have the added threat of Geralt and his mercenary band to contend with. The very same mercenary band you had been looking for, is it not?
Yeah, one of them in particular, a warrior known as the Ashen Demon, who felled my entire company back before I met you. Not sure I'm looking for revenge exactly, but I do want to surpass them, no matter what it takes.
I see. This is the first I'm hearing of it.
I'm sorry, I wasn't really trying to hide it or anything, just never came up, I guess.
I believe I understand. Overcoming Geralt and his mercenaries is what drives you in life.
Yeah, you could say that. It's the closest thing to a goal I have, for sure.
In any case, those people cannot be taken lightly. I'd like to avoid crossing blades with them as much as we can. Though we'll likely encounter them sooner rather than later. Imperial forces are still encamped in the former Arendelle territory, after all.
Right. We'd better be ready for anything.
Azure Gleam. Conspiracy in the air. Having laid Lonato low, the kingdom's army proceeds south. Count Rowe, who had prior declared fealty to the Empire, surrenders, and Aryan Road falls back into kingdom hands. With its foothold in the west lost, the Empire amasses troops in the former Arendelle territory to the south, prompting the army of Fargus to strike before Adrestia can regain its footing.
It's nice Aryan Road fell with little more than a hand wave, but it's hardly comfortable knowing the enemy is still on our doorstep.
Comfortable or no, we must take what few chances we do have to rest. Battle will be upon us again before we know it.
Not to mention the fortress is still a target. I mean, who wouldn't want their very own impregnable stronghold?
Our spies report that the enemy plans to mount such an attack from Arendelle land.
Arendelle, huh? It's been 2 years since the territory came under the Emperor's control. The wind carries rumors that Edelgard has been keeping Lord Arendelle imprisoned in his home since then. If it's true, No. Were the enemy to strike and the fortress city to somehow fall, our path forward in this war would grow exceedingly perilous.
The West doesn't face the kind of constant threats we do, so there aren't as many strongholds here as in the North, right?
Basically. Though my uncle did say that started to change at least a tiny bit in the past couple of years.
In other words, the entire western region of the kingdom is likely to fall into enemy hands if we retreat from Aryan Road now.
Indeed. Which is exactly why we must take the offensive and restrain this Imperial snake before it can sink its fangs into us.
Hey, it'll be nice to strike first for once. It feels like we've been on the back foot for a while now.
Right you are. And remaining on perpetual defense would only lead to more meaningless, preventable deaths.
Whatever we decide to do, we need to stay on guard. Geralt and his mercenaries could be around any corner.
Yes, who knows when you might have another fateful duel with the Ashen Demon.
Your Majesty, I bear terrible news.
Calm yourself. What is it?
The convoy escorting Count Rowe to the capital has been attacked by an unknown assailant. They've sustained heavy losses, and it seems Count Rowe has gone missing amid the chaos.
I see. And these assailants, we know nothing about them?
Very little, Your Majesty. The survivors claim to have been attacked by numerous mages.
Mages? No.
What's wrong? Do you know who it is?
You saw the court mage Cornelia during our battle at Ferdia, yes? Well, she disappeared almost immediately after. It's likely she has been burrowed away in western Fargus ever since. Which leads me to wonder if this attack wasn't her handiwork somehow. It's merely a feeling, though. I'd like to look into it further, if possible. But something tells me the Imperial soldiers won't wait around patiently while we go off hunting for clues.
Perhaps you should send a separate unit to investigate, while we attend to the Empire.
Yes, that would be prudent for now. We cannot afford to lower our guard for even a moment.
Hey there.